Good afternoon, friends. I am Dr. Zakia Khan, HOD of Cardiology, Fortis Hospital, Mumbai, Kalyan. Today we are going to talk of massive pulmonary embolism and its management. As you all know that the problem is massive and underestimated in India. Mortality is also very high. There is a limited study available from India, which is a post-mortem study which talked of the fact that almost 15% patients were dead because of P, and almost 80% of patients, P was the terminal cause of death. Mortality is almost 10% and fatal within 1 year, within 1 hour. And it is higher mortality if there is DVT combined with it. Long-term consequences are significant post-thrombotic syndromes and chronic thromboembolic pulmonary disease, and itself has higher mortality. When we are talking of massive pulmonary embolism, what we need to look at is the hemodynamics of the patient and degree of hypoxia. So in a suspected case of acute PE, shock or hypotension if present, it is a high risk or a massive PE. And if it is absent, it is not a high risk case. High risk case should also have significant RV dysfunction if seen on echo, or NT-proBNP which is elevated, or cardiac biomarkers like troponins are elevated, or D-dimer is massively elevated, and class 3 or 4 by the PASI classifications. Pulmonary embolism severity indices are multiple, and there have been multiple scores also have been given in the past, like Wells score, Geneva score, RE rule out criteria, which I would not talk much into it, but the simplified Geneva score has made P likely, unlikely, and given it various points, and it is much more easier to use. Of the investigations that we use, baseline are ECG, echo, cardiac biomarkers, and the gold standard being CT pulmonary angiogram. I think CT pulmonary angiogram definitely gives the answer of what it is, how severe it is, what is the severity of thrombus burden. When we are treating massive P, our goals of management being prevention of death from the current embolic event, reduce the chances of recurrent embolic event, and to minimize long-term morbidity due to the event. The treatment of acute PE is based on anticoagulation and thrombolytic are the mainstay of medical treatment. Other agents being catheter-directed thrombolysis when thrombolysis is contraindicated or it has failed, surgical thrombectomy if thrombolysis has failed, use of IVC filter as and when needed. Anticoagulation should be started at the earliest once you have diagnosed high-risk PE. It can be done either with a heparin, standard heparin, 5,000 unit bolus, or a low molecular weight heparin or Fandaparinux as a single dose. When you are talking of thrombolysis in acute PE, why is it done? Why is it used? What are the benefits? It causes faster clot lysis, dissolves the obstructions, reverses RV failure, dissolves much of source, decreases risk of recurrence. Well-tolerated P has excellent prognosis, risk being major hemorrhage 1.8 to 6.3%, ICH about 1.2%. It is minimized if you use more fibrin-specific agents. The approved agents being RTPA, urokinase, and streptokinase. My personal experience has been maximum with RTPA. Streptokinase in the dose of 250,000 international unit as a loading dose over 30 minutes, followed by 1 lakh unit per hour over 12 to 24 hours. Urokinase also 4,400 international unit per kg as a loading dose over 10 minutes, followed by the same dose given as a per hour infusion for 12 to 24 hours. RTPA, I prefer to use as a 100 milligram dose, 10 milligram bolus, 90 milligram over 2 hours. 0.6 mg per kg if a patient is low body weight can be used as a dose over 15 minutes, maximum dose being 50 milligram. So if a person is below 65 kg, 10 milligram as a bolus, followed by an infusion. Contraindication of thrombolytic therapy are standard as they are for an acute myocardial infarction. We must remember the absolute ones, the hemorrhagic stroke, ischemic stroke, central nervous system damage or tumors, recent major trauma, GI bleed, known bleeding risk. Rest of the things are relative and can be used or not used if the patient has a major life-threatening PE, then the risk and the benefit ratio should be weighed and the thrombolytic therapy should be used even in patients with relative contraindications. Now, clinical evidence and the trials for alteplase in acute PE are few. First is a PEMS or the PEMS Italian multi-center study. It talked of used 36 patients with acute PE. RTPA was used, heparin was followed by it. This trial showed that there was a reduction of angiographic severity of PE from 28 to 24%, reduction of mean PA pressure from 30 to 21 millimeters of mercury, an increase of cardiac index from 2.1 to 2.4 liters per minute. There was a comparison between alteplase and heparin. Obviously, the alteplase will do better. Alteplase group showed improvement of RV function, reduction of RV dimension, and improvement of pulmonary artery perfusion scan. There was no PE recurrence in the alteplase group. Comparison of RTPA with urokinase. The RTPA treated group showed significant clot lysis, 82% compared with 48% of urokinase treated group. And it also indicated that in the dose that the regimen was used, RTPA acted faster than urokinase in the treatment of acute PE. When we compare urokinase and alteplase and compare the total pulmonary vascular resistance, the PVR reduced significantly in the alteplase group. The black line, black arrow is of the alteplase group, 36 plus minus 17%. When we compare streptokinase versus alteplase in massive PE, 50 patients were studied, and you can see that the right ventricular ejection fraction improved faster in the RTPA group. The total pulmonary vascular resistance improved faster in the P group. There's another trial done using a half dose or the lower dose of TPA to reduce bleeding. Prospective study was done using 65 patients and the dose was 50 milligram for 2 hours. The efficacy was determined by observing the improvement of RV function on echo, lung perfusion defects on VQ scans, and pulmonary artery obstruction on CT angiograms. The adverse effects was also studied. The trial concluded that comparing 100 milligram regimen with the 50 milligram regimen, the lower dose regimen exhibited similar efficacy and perhaps better safety in patients with acute PE. These findings support the notion that optimizing RTPA dosing is worthwhile when treating patients with PET. I personally go for this lower dose regimen when the patient is of low body weight. What do guidelines say? The guidelines, ESCP 2019 guidelines recommend that anticoagulation with heparin should be done with a weight-adjusted bolus in high-risk PE. Systemic thrombolytic therapy is recommended for all high-risk PE. Surgical pulmonary embolectomy is recommended for patients with high-risk PE in whom thrombolysis is contraindicated or has failed. Somebody like having active malignancy or somebody who has thrombolysis which has not worked, patient is in persistent hypotension. Percutaneous catheter-directed treatment should be considered for patients with high-risk PE in whom thrombolysis is contraindicated or has failed. Use of inotropes like norepinephrine or dobutamine should be considered in patients with high-risk PE. ECMO may be considered in combination with surgical embolectomy or catheter-directed treatment in patients with PE and refractory circulatory collapse or cardiac arrest. So ECMO at times can be life-saving in such patients. PE 2019 guidelines, reperfusion treatment. Rescue thrombolytic therapy is recommended for patients with hemodynamic deterioration on anticoagulation treatment, 1B level of evidence. It is as an alternative to rescue thrombolytic therapy, surgical embolectomy or percutaneous directed treatment should be considered for patients with hemodynamic deterioration on anticoagulation treatment. Routine use of primary systemic thrombolysis is not recommended in patients with intermediate or low risk PE. So level of evidence is 3B. So just to give you a diagnostic algorithm for patients with suspected high-risk PE presenting with hemodynamic instability. So anybody who presents like this, you do a bedside TT. There is an evidence of RV dysfunction? No. Search for any other cause. Massive PE can't exist without this. If RV dysfunction is present, CTPA should be done immediately. If the CTPA shows positive result, patient should be treated with as high-risk PE as discussed with thrombolysis and anticoagulants. CTPA is negative, search for any other cause of hypotension. So, recommendations for acute phase treatment of immediate or low-risk PE. Although this is not the part of my talk, but all these patients should be receiving low molecular weight heparin or fondaparinux for at least 5 patients who is eligible for a NOAC. A NOAC is recommended in preference to a VK. When patients are treated with a VK overlapping with recommended until INR is optimized. NOACs are not recommended in patients with severe renal impairment during pregnancy, lactation, and in patients with anti-phospholipid antibody syndrome. 2019 guidelines for diagnosis and management of acute massive pulmonary embolism by ESC again recommended that anticoagulation with ultra-fast fractionated heparin, including a weight-adjusted bolus, should be initiated. Systemic thrombolysis should be given for high-risk patient, and patient should be treated as early as possible. In summary, VT clinically presenting as DET or PE is globally the third most frequent acute cardiovascular syndrome behind myocardial infarction and stroke. Thrombolytic therapy is recommended in patients with high-risk PE unless contraindicated. Routine use of primary systemic thrombolysis is not recommended in patients with intermediate or low-risk PE. Thank you.